Art comes in many different forms. From films to dance to music, we use it as a form of communication to express our ideas and emotions creatively.
Many of us associate art with beautiful drawings and sculpture. However, art is more than just that. In fact, it is now popularly used as a tool for advocacy for issues like sustainability. In this episode, we speak to Dorcas, an Instagram micro-influencer and climate artist known as Earth to Dorcas, to discover how she uses art and her social media platform as a tool for climate advocacy. Let's find out more. Hey Dorcas, I know that you're a climate artist. Could you share with us what that means exactly?
So being a climate artist basically means that we use art as a way to advocate for climate action. So traditionally throughout history, art has always been a way to make movements and revolutions irresistible. And this is why I specifically chose this medium to expand on my advocacy. So there are a few benefits to using art as a medium for advocacy. Firstly, especially in the climate movement where there's so much jargon and there's so much new information that you need to take in every day, art can be a really great way to make information more digestible and a little bit more inclusive for everybody to kind of understand what is going on and understand what are the actions that they need to take. Secondly, art is also a great way to trigger emotions. Sometimes when we just look at social and environmental issues from a very cold lens, sometimes it distances people from the emotions and the inspiration that they need to take action. So sometimes art can be that bridge between what is a social issue or what is an environmental issue and what they need to do. So really bridging that emotion in. And lastly, it's also a great way for the community to get together because you don't really need to know jargon, you don't really need to be an expert in climate action, but as long as you have a piece of art to share or like a piece of art to connect to, everybody can be part of the climate movement.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You're a micro-influencer. Has being a micro-influencer actually amplified your voice in sustainability advocacy?
Oh yeah, definitely. Social media has like a super wide reach, especially since everybody is on Instagram now. It's so easy to disseminate information, to make open education possible now. As long as you have information that you want to share, and you also have you know, an Instagram account, like anybody can you know, share resources within the climate movement. So I think being a micro-influencer has definitely allowed me to expand on that reach and to reach like green groups and people who normally would not even care about climate change in the first place. And I also have like some really interesting stories along the way. Yeah, from being a micro-influencer in the green movement, because previously I was actually just in my own bubble, kind of just doing watercolor art for myself, for other people. But since I transitioned into drawing about climate change, I've gotten to connect with other green groups in Singapore, such as Green Nudge, and even like other green advocates too, like Kate from BYO Bottle SG. And these are connections that I would not have previously had if I hadn't transitioned into the climate movement. And I've also had a lot of people privately messaging me saying like, oh, you know, like previously I didn't care about climate change. I thought it was just a natural phenomenon, or I thought that it was something that is going to happen 20 years down the road or 30 years down the road, and it's not going to affect me, so I don't care about it. But after they've encountered my artwork or encountered some of the messages that I've put out on my Instagram account, they've told me that they feel the need to take action, and they feel the need to kind of fight for a more sustainable world, not just for future generations, but for people now that are already affected by climate change.
I see. That's really nice to hear.
Yeah.
I really love your art and how creative you are when it comes to creating drawings to advocate for what you believe in. I would love to create my own advocacy drawings as well. Can anyone with zero skills like me actually draw something as nice as what you drew on a daily basis?
Thank you for your kind words. Yeah, you don't need any special skills or any like special talents in order to start drawing and advocating for the environment. So for myself, I also didn't have any formal training in either the arts or climate education. So all I did was just go on YouTube, do a few tutorials, and then I can just start off like that. Yeah, so anyone can do it. In fact, I can show you how right now.
Really?
Yeah, okay, let's go. So I like to start off with like a reference first, like some flowers that have already dropped in the garden. And then I like to go in with like a slightly lighter color first, and just go in very lightly with the broad strokes. It's okay if you mess up a little bit in this process, because it's just going to be a very, very quick sketch of the outline first. It's okay, I'm going to draw the stems. And then next I'm going to just lightly sketch out the veins also. Okay, so after you have like the outline out, you want to go in with a color that more closely resembles the flower that you picked. Okay, so for this one, it's like a little bit more of like a magenta color. And then we're gonna lightly go over with some lightly color it out first. So you want to keep your color pencil very, very light and smooth. You can always go in to darken things later if you wish to. When you color, also try to follow like the outlines of your sketch. So if it's a curve over here, try to sketch in accordance to that curve. Okay, then just go in and smooth the colors out also a little bit more. Okay, so once you have the base color out, what you're going to do is start to play with the light and shadows a little bit more. So I usually like to go in with shadows first. So I'll pick a slightly darker color and then just observe where the light is hitting the different bougainvillea. So in this case, you can see the shadow is a bit darker inside and then it creases up a little as it goes out. So I'm gonna try to replicate that shadowy bit. At the moment, the shadows look a little bit harsh, but this is normal, and later you can go in to blend it a bit more. So now that the general shadows are out, I'm gonna go in and play with the light a little more. Usually when you do lights, you like to go for a color that's a bit lighter than your base shade, and also add in a little bit more yellow in order to emphasize that lighting. Because the color over here is already quite light, I'm going to go in with a little bit of a orangey yellow shade, and then just look at where the light naturally falls. So you don't want to be too heavy-handed when you do this. You just want very, very light touches. So like over here, like let's say over here. And then to blend everything together, you can like choose to have like something a little bit closer to like a magenta or a dark purple in order to make all the colors a bit more cohesive with each other. So you just go into where the in-betweens of where all these colors are, and you can start to see everything coming together. And to just wrap everything up, remember like remember the outlines that we created in the start of the shot? We're going to go in and re-emphasize those again in order to, you know, like have the whole piece kind of be a little bit more cohesive. Okay, so we're gonna choose a darker color now, and then with the reference again, go in together with those general shapes. Okay. So over here, and then to add in the veins as well. So over here, you can really start to see like the entire drawing really coming together. Okay, now that you're mostly done with drawing the flowers, you can go in to add some finishing touches if you want. Usually I like to add some leaves at the back, or I like to go in to blend colors a little bit more. Okay, so here you have it. Here's how you can draw like a nature themed illustration from a reference photo. Okay, now we're going to move on to digital illustration. So for myself, I use a second-hand iPad Pro that I got from Carousel, and I use the software Procreate which you can get for a one-time fee of $15 from the App Store. But if you don't want to use Procreate, that's perfectly fine too. There are some free softwares like Krita, and there's also Adobe Fresco, as well as Sketchbook that you can get off of the App Store as well. Okay, so now we're going to jump right into it.
For this illustration, I'm inspired mostly by urban flowers around Singapore, such as the Ixora, garlic vine, and little ironweed. Next, I established the composition using the pencil tool in Procreate. I like to divide my work up into layers. The first will consist of the basic sketch. I've decided that I want to include the saying "the earth laughs in flowers" into my drawing, and I would like my earth character to be situated on the bottom right hand corner, looking as if she's laughing and the flowers are a manifestation of her joy. I then decide on how to arrange the 7 different types of flowers that I have chosen into the space. Sometimes I like to add a little bit of personality to the drawing as well. One of the flowers is named Golden Panda or First Love, and I thought that was adorable, and I wanted to include 2 pandas in love as a reference to the flower's name. Once the sketch is complete, I decide on a suitable color palette that will tie the entire drawing together. I usually play around with colors on a separate layer. I would pick 3 dominant colors and then have 3 other supporting colors as well. Of course, these are not strictly the colors that you can use for your illustration, but it will make the entire drawing a lot more cohesive. For this illustration, I want to have a light and joyful energy to go along with the theme of laughter and flowers, so I've decided on yellow, a light green, and a bright pink. Occasionally, I will go in with my secondary colors, light purple, red, and a darker green. The next step is all about coloring in your sketch. This is the fun part. What I like to do is to lower the opacity of the sketch layer, create a new layer, and move it below the sketch layer. This is so when you're coloring in your illustration, you will not lose the reference of your sketch. I usually like to use the 6B pencil brush in Procreate because it gives a nice organic texture to the illustration. During this stage, feel free to move the elements around. You don't have to follow your initial sketch exactly. You can also have real life or non-copyright references for this bit in order to know which colors to use. Once you're happy with the final product, I like to go in with the finishing touches once again. Things like making sure the spacing is correct between the different elements, the color balance is right, as well as adding some sparkles here and there in different colors, and to include the names of the flowers as well.
Okay, and this is the final piece. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and remember that it's okay to make mistakes because nobody gets it perfect on the first try. And we look forward to your beautiful artwork, and remember to tag us as well.
I really love how the illustrations turn out. Other than sharing your sustainability messages, are there other messages you want to share with the audience through your platform art?
So I think for me, the idea of an intersectional climate action is really important. So intersectionality is basically the idea that climate change overlaps with other issues such as social inequality and mental health, among all the other social issues as well. So when we advocate for climate action, it's important to remember that climate change affects everyone unequally. So it affects middle to lower income groups disproportionately, the working class, people whose livelihoods are around the coastlines and are more susceptible to sea level rise, as well as a lot of countries in our neighborhoods also along Southeast Asia. So when we advocate, we have to make sure to put the most vulnerable people and their voices at the forefront of what we're advocating for. Other messages that I usually try to weave into my art is how to take care of your mental health in the climate crisis, especially since the climate crisis is such an existential and looming idea that will affect literally everyone and every living being across the globe, it is important to know how to approach this issue with mindfulness and with a very intentional approach. So what I like to do to limit and manage my feelings of climate anxiety is that I try to also limit my consumption of news into like a small portion of my day, so that I'm not just like doom scrolling and just like consuming all of these like terrible news all throughout my day, which might trigger like very, very small feelings of anxiety. So what I like to do is to allocate a time, let's say 7 to 7:30, where I will catch up on all the news that I need to, and really be mindful about the necessary actions that I need to take, and be intentional about what I want my audience to know and what I want my audience to know about as well. The next thing that I like to do is I like to go for really long walks in nature just to kind of calm myself down. I always like to look at flowers, so sometimes I'll come back to botanic gardens and then I'll just look at like the lovely like bougainvillea over here. Yeah. I also like to go for dance classes a lot. So something that I find really helpful is just moving my body a little bit, and just trying to get that emotional release out. And lastly, I think it's also about knowing your boundaries and knowing your place in the ecosystem of the climate movement. So as for myself, I recognize myself as like an artist, and I usually try to do as much as I can in that role in the ecosystem. So I try to do like digital art. I like to break down information into something more digestible, and I don't try to take every single opportunity that comes my way so that I don't burn myself out. So knowing your place and knowing where your boundaries lie is very, very important in order to manage your climate anxiety.
That sounds really meaningful. Do you have anything to share with budding artists or those who wish to be an advocate as well?
Yes, so something that I always tell people who want to join the climate movement or want to use art to advocate for something they believe in is that you don't have to be an expert or have to know everything at one go. You just have to remember that you're using art to advocate and to really put your message out there. So as long as you're being a voice for those who usually don't have a voice, and you're inspiring people to take climate action or to take whatever call to action that you're giving them, then that is the ultimate angle of a climate artist or an art advocate. And to always have an attitude of learning, relearning, and also unlearning along the way.
Yeah, and with that, we've come to the end of this episode of EcoBytes. Thank you, Dorcas, for your insight into the world of climate advocacy and for bringing us through your journey. Art is definitely a simple but effective way to support sustainability and the causes we believe in. Look beyond and you'll realize there's more to things than meets the eye. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again in the next one. Bye!
Now for all of our viewers who are watching, we have something special for you. We'll be giving away a shirt from the Earth to Dorcas and Ink08 collaboration. To take part in the giveaway, all you have to do is head over to our giveaway post on our Facebook and Instagram page. Comment on the giveaway post with your answers, like and share this episode, and follow Earth to Dorcas, Sunskin Singapore and ssgallery.sg page to enter. For more bite-sized sustainable lifestyle content, catch the next episode of EcoBytes on 17 April, Saturday. For more information, head over to our Instagram and Facebook page at ssgallery.sg to find out more. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next episode. If you are still unsure about where to start your sustainability journey, one good way is to download the Suskin app onto your phones. Suskin is a mobile app that rewards you with cashback for making sustainable choices. All you have to do is to download the free app, which allows you to choose a charity or cause that you wish to support. Complete actions like participating in sustainable events and supporting sustainable stores to gain points. The more points you earn, the higher your reward tiers and impact. To get started on your sustainability journey, head over to the Suskin app, search for EcoBytes and key in the PIN code 2003 to claim your first 500 points.